Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Thursday, and all of our guests, including Farhan, standing by. Brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Tomorrow, Game 1, WHL Playoffs, Giants, Spokane. Puck drop is at 7. Game 2 goes Sunday at the LAC. Puck drop for that game is 4. Head to VancouverGiants.com to purchase your tickets. Prince George Cougars and Victoria Royals also opening their respective WHL opening round series on Friday. Farhan Lalji joins us now in the wake of the Canucks 5-2 win against the Islanders in New York. Farhan, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, boys.
No problem. What have the Canucks shown you the last couple of games, winning without EP40 and Höglander and Philip Hedl?
Yeah, a little bit of grit, a little bit of resilience, right? Just a desire to kind of hang on to this playoff race, right? When you look at what St. Louis is doing, boy, the math is daunting for Vancouver, right? I mean, 10 games left. What are they going to have to win? 8, maybe 7 at the very least? They've got some work to do, but they're willing to do the work right now. So it's been fun to watch. It's been fun just seeing guys that don't score find a way to help this team along here, and for some young guys to get some experience too.
I love the way, everybody loves the way Kevin Lankinen has played this season. But where do you think the Canucks would be? This is our poll question. Where do you think the Canucks would be if Thatcher Demko, the one we saw last night especially, was healthy the whole season?
Well, they'd be in a playoff spot, right? And not just that, but if they were smart about it and then used Lankinen as a reasonable backup, right, then they're even that much better, because when you really look at it, and not to disparage Archer Shilovs because he was so good for this team in the playoffs last year, but if you just eliminate his results, the Canucks are in the playoffs now, right? I mean, and when you see Kevin Lankinen, he's had these runs where it's been like 2 weeks of really good play, and then at the end of the 2 weeks he gets a little fatigued because they're overplaying him, and then he has one bad outing. And the good thing is that he's always been able to reset, right, and get back in it. But this guy hasn't been stealing games for the Canucks. He's just been playing solid all year, whereas Demko has the ability to steal games for this team, both in the regular season and in the playoffs.
Well, I do want to say that Lankinen has never been a starter before. He's going to hit 50 games.
Yeah.
I mean, the most he's ever played is 39 in Chicago 6 years ago. Yeah. So what he's going through is like 10 of 11 before Demko came back. He is definitely tired and overplayed. Rick Tocchet, Tortorella gets fired this morning. Tortorella. He gets fired this morning. Hey,
you okay?
This guy starts laughing. Tortorella gets fired this morning, and everyone's got Tocchet going to Philly. Oh, it's
Farhan
done.
is laughing now.
It's not done. It's how this plays out is going to be fascinating. Canucks still want this guy back, but as it gets closer to the end of the season, we're just not going to stop hearing about Tocchet. We're not until they sign him.
Yeah, and many of the insiders have said that there's going to be a long lineup for Rick Tocchet if the Canucks decide to let him go. Philly is the obvious one because of his playing history there, but he's been in other spots, and he's a well-respected coach. So I know there's people out there that want to blame the system for the Canucks' woes, but be careful what you wish for, right? And this has kind of been a guy that has been able to get the attention of most of his players, which other coaches maybe haven't been able to. Now I know there's kind of been a up and down with Pettersson, but I do think Pettersson respects Tocchet, right? So to me, in the end, I really believe this is going to come down to what Rick Tocchet wants. I'm not sure that Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford want to fire the guy or just let him out of his contract with the club option for next year. I think this is going to come down to whether Rick wants to be a part of this reclamation project for a team that's taken a step back this year. The reclamation project that is Elias Pettersson that we saw for 2 weeks play a lot better, right? I mean, not to peak Petey, but still better than what we've seen for the previous 12 months. So does Rick want that? But I'm telling you, this guy's a good coach, and I would hate to see the Canucks make a mistake here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how that plays out. Another guy they got to make a decision on is Pia Suter. Since Pettersson went down, your number one center, in 2 games, Suter's got 4 points. He's getting, in both games, most minutes for forwards. This guy's stock is going through the roof. I think his agent's doing cartwheels. But I'll tell you that this is a guy, Pia Suter, I don't know if they'll be able to afford him now.
Well, his agent's doing cartwheels because you're on board, Rick. Let's be honest.
Stop
There you
it.
go.
Just stop.
And
Stop.
then well, this is the time the Canucks would generally sign a guy, right? They'd sign a guy at peak value. You look at Kevin Lankinen, and again, he's been very good for this team, but not many expected 5 years at 4.5 given the small sample size. So I think 4 points in 2 games is the right sample size for Suter to get a Rick Dollywall type
Yes,
deal, right?
yes.
He's second in the team in scoring. Are you really serious right now?
No, I'm playing with you, of course,
Okay.
but look, the guy's had over 20 goals this season, and given the fact that he doesn't play on the power play and he's generally in a bottom 6 role, of course, right? I got to be honest. I thought that of all the guys that were pending UFAs, the Canucks might go and try to get something done with Suter, but I've also heard the dollars that are being talked about, and look, Pius Suter, who's doing great for them right now, isn't a guy you want in your top 6 on a regular basis, right? So I don't know if 4 million is the right number for him or more per year. And Suter's also the type of player that the Canucks, when they signed him, they had faith in their scouting department, right? That we're going to go out and we're going to move on from some other players. We're going to bring this guy in and we're going to try to, extract some additional value out of him. And I think that might be what happens going forward. That you don't want to lose a guy like this, but at the same time, these generally are the types of players that come in and out of your lineup because you can't overspend for a role player. Now, look, he's filled a lot of roles admirably. He's done well on the penalty kill, and the faceoffs have been up and down depending on the time. But the fact that he's been able to elevate his game right now and keep the Canucks in it in the last few games, I think speaks really well of the guy.
Football, Farhan. Russell Wilson, is he a fit with the New York Giants? He's got some competition there, DeVito and Jameis Winston.
Well, yeah, DeVito's not really competition, but Russell Wilson just wants employment, right? Like at this point, he wants to extend his career, and there's not a ton of options with exceptional teams. When you look at the Giants, they got a lot of work to do, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know that Russell Wilson is going into the best spot to instantly succeed, right? So, look, he kind of treaded water the last 2 seasons, right? The first year in Denver was awful. He got better the second year. Last year was okay, and I think he's going to be okay again, right? But it's not necessarily these teams that are still looking for quarterbacks aren't the ideal landing spots. That's why Aaron Rodgers is waiting, right? Oh, can I maybe entice Minnesota to take me and give me a year and continue to stay ahead of JJ McCarthy? Because if I go to Pittsburgh, that offense is trash. Right? I mean, okay, they added DK Metcalf, but it's like they get some problems there on that roster, right? So you don't all of a sudden, it wasn't necessarily the best thing for him to go back there. So the Giants are no different. So I just think he wants to keep playing and extend his career, and he's going to convince himself that whatever opportunity he gets is a good one.
Would you want to acquire or sign Aaron Rodgers if you're in charge of an NFL team?
Yeah.
No shot. None. Like just the baggage that comes with it, the drama, all of it. And we don't know how much game he's got left at this point in his career. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it. And like, if you're Minnesota, you got this incredible coach, you got this great roster. I know there's a worry in playing with a rookie quarterback. JJ McCarthy's got something. I generally don't like Michigan players. JJ McCarthy has got a lot to offer. And I think having a year where he could apprentice, and I know he was hurt, so he didn't necessarily get a lot of practice reps, but he still learned a lot. They had kind of a parallel program going on with him on the film and game planning side. He's better than he was a year ago for having gone through that. Let him run.
Okay. One more, if you don't mind. Trey Lance was 3rd overall not that long ago, San Francisco. The Rough Riders have put him on on their neg list. What are the chances of that happening? What are the chances of him succeeding, which doesn't always happen with former NFL quarterbacks in the CFL?
Yeah, look, it's easy to dismiss the possibility of him coming like people did with Colin Kaepernick, but at this stage of his career, it's possible. So he's got to weigh, how much do I love football? Because, the stuff you read coming out of American publications is naive people who say, oh, Trey Lance could come up here and he could rip it up. Well, okay, maybe, but it's going to take some time. He's not ripping it up in 2025. He's not going to see the field in 2025. Saskatchewan is Trevor Harris's team. Jake Mayer's the backup, and maybe Trey Lance is a guy. But I was in Cowboys camp last year. This guy was incredibly inaccurate. Decision making was poor, and that's been the problem when a guy only plays 19 games of college football and not at the top level. He got bad advice to come out when he did. right? Now, easy for me to say, the guy's made $34 million, right? So that's why I talk about motivation and how much you love the game. Hopefully he's invested it wisely and he can go on and live a good life. But if he's desperate and hungry to play football, like to me, the UFL would be the play because you could play right away. And it's the same football. You come up here, you got to figure out all that motion, which is jarring for quarterbacks when they come, not just because the offensive guy's motioning, but the defensive guy's reacting to it. You got to find an extra defender in the secondary. That takes time. And the clock, as you mentioned, right? So all of that is difficult. It'll take him time. I don't know if he wants to give that kind of time.
Above and beyond, Farhan, thanks for this.
All right, boys. Rick, keep representing.
I'm just doing my job. How's that representing? Like, I got to talk to agents. It's a part of the business.
Why are you looking at me? He's the one who's...
You get him going on that stuff.
What? All right.
Rick, you are so easy to get wound up.
Agents are good guys. They're good guys.
Something? You know the Canucks, they do that siren, right? Before the game, the horn.
Yeah.
You need to go one day. You need to be the special guest because you can wind it up.
Yeah.
That's right. You did that at the Lions game last summer, I think.
No, I hit the drum. I didn't use the horn, and I wasn't good at it.
Adios. See you later. Bye.
Thanks, Farhan. Appreciate it.